Whenever y'all are ready. Good, Kenneth? Good morning. As Kentucky's Attorney General, I want to make sure that all Kentuckians feel safe in their homes and in their communities. That's why in the Attorney General's office, we don't come to work to do a job. We come to work to serve a mission. And our mission's pretty simple, that every Kentuckian should be able to live in a safe neighborhood and have a real path to prosperity. We know that violent crime exists in all of our neighborhoods and that we have work to do. And we know that the impact that trauma coming out of those crimes can have on people's path to prosperity. We work on that mission every day by facing 4 challenges that can impact any Kentucky family. Those are the prevention and prosecution of child abuse, better protecting our seniors against scams and abuse, seeking justice for victims of sexual assault and violent crime, and addressing this drug epidemic that has devastated each and every one of our communities. In order to fulfill that mission, we understand that we need to empathize and learn from those who know the devastating impact of violence, of exploitation, of fraud, and of abuse. That's why last year we created the Attorney General's Survivor Council. That's a 25-member Survivor Council that was formed to assist and advise this office on all matters related to victims of crime. It was created in part to make sure we not only talk the talk about being a victim-centered office, but that we also walked the walk, that we could be an example and a model for other law enforcement agencies, for other prosecutors around the state. These survivors have spent the last year using their diverse experiences to help us develop awareness initiatives, training efforts, publications, and to ensure policy and legislative initiatives are truly victim-centered, that they're effective, and that they are responsive. No one knows the flaws in our system and in our laws like the people standing up here today. They have experienced those flaws. They have felt the inadequacies of our system. Today, members of the Survivors Council are here at the Capitol to unveil the 2017 Survivor Council report and share their recommendation about how to make Kentucky a safer place that is more responsive to the most important person involved in any crime, and that is the victim, the survivor. The report is a culmination of their experience and their advocacy over the past year, and it is impressive and extensive. The report outlines 57 recommendations to 16 individuals and groups, including the Governor, the Office of Attorney General, the General Assembly, schools and universities, employers, and youth-serving organizations. We're joined by several of our survivors who will outline the highlights of their recommendations. But before they do, I want to thank them for their courage and for their service. You all in the entire 25-member Survivor Council are some of the most amazing people I've ever had the opportunity to know, and I've gotten to work with you. And I feel truly blessed, and I hope you feel truly empowered. And watching this last year, whether we were on Moorhead's campus combating campus sexual assault, or whether we were raising awareness on the news, it's truly been an honor. And I've seen you do so much great work. Our Commonwealth is better off for what each and every one of you is doing. And there are people out there who will be able to better cope with their experience. And there are people out there that are better trained to try to lessen that trauma that the next person may be going through. And that's because of you. You have fought for yourselves, for your families, and now you're fighting for all those other survivors and those future survivors out there. They tell their stories time and time again in hopes of finding justice and of others knowing that they're not alone. They fight because they know just how hard it really is. And they know that each of us is vulnerable to violence and abuse. They are the voice for the silenced, the fearful, and the brokenhearted. They truly accomplish what I think is the mission of certainly my faith, that we have a duty to the lost, the lonely, and the left behind. They're here today to stand up for themselves and those who are not ready to come forward. Kentucky will be and already is a safer place because of their work. I now want to introduce Gretchen Hunt, who is the head of our Office of Victims Advocacy and has been an advocate herself for a long time. Gretchen? Thank you.
Thank you, General, and thank you again to all of our Survivors Council members today. So it's my absolute privilege to introduce two of our members, but before I do so, I want to take this moment to recognize Michelle Kuiper, our co-chair of the Survivors Council, who unfortunately is ill this morning, but has labored very long and hard on this report and on the work that we have done, and we regret that she's not here to enjoy this historic day with us. It's my honor and privilege to introduce both Megan Wright, who will be speaking, and Donna Pollard, who are two of the 25 members. But it's really worth noting that every single one of these members has contributed to the recommendations in this report. And the sheer number of recommendations should be a call to action to our state that we need to bring survivors to the table at every single organization. And there should be an effort to reach out to the council members following this report with an invitation to invite them to the table to discuss and give input on these recommendations and their implementations. So we're so proud of the work and the passion and the dedication of these survivors. It goes without saying that they are incredibly resilient individuals, each in their own right. But this is a call to action to our Commonwealth. Megan?
Do not drop the baby. You will be in big trouble. In September 2006, I first took on the identity of a victim. I was no longer the person I was before that Labor Day weekend, and I never would be again. I reported the crime, received medical treatment, and recovery began. It took several years of therapy sorting through the crime, the systematic failures of those in power, and the personal impact of it all before I would come to know myself as a survivor. Early on in recovery, I found that there was power in knowledge, power to normalize my experience, power to stand up for myself, and power to keep from being silenced. I have seen, though, that sometimes knowledge, the facts, and the statistics only have as much weight as the faces behind them. I don't just know the data to share it with others. I have lived it. It's not just memorization, it's bodily memory in the marrow of my bones and the neural pathways of my brain. I bring all of this experience with me every day in everything I do. I have been able to harness it to be a resource for others so that my voice may amplify the experiences of other survivors who have not yet found the ability to speak for themselves. The above text is an excerpt from my application to become a member of the Survivors Council. Each member of the council could probably share similar sentiments, all wrapped up in individual stories with unique details, some of which we may never speak aloud. We have each taken traumatic and life-altering experiences and turned them and worked to transform the world around us. But each member of the Survivors Council is unique. We come from different backgrounds, races, genders, religious beliefs, family systems, and communities. We come from varied experiences within the criminal justice system, and we're victims of distinctive crimes. We own our own businesses, we run nonprofits, we're stay-at-home parents, we are college students, we are church members, we are neighbors, we are real people. We are survivors. We are not defined by what happened to us, though it is part of our identity. The specific crimes perpetrated against us are not of greatest importance. They did change the trajectory of our lives. They are the things in our lives that we didn't want to happen, that we didn't ask for, but we have had to accept. They came with lessons, insights, and realities that we didn't want to know or experience, but we have had to learn. They are also what have brought us together. They are what bring us together today. The individuals who serve on this council are survivors of victims of homicide, mass shooting, DUI, gun violence, felony assault, stalking, revenge porn, human trafficking, campus rape, sexual assault, child abuse, domestic violence, and other serious offenses. We have been altered by our experiences, but we have also transformed them and committed to ensuring that victims of similar types of crime receive a voice in the criminal justice process, meaningful assistance, and compassionate treatment. We are each at varying places in our journeys, but our paths have intersected for a special purpose: to advise and assist the Office of the Attorney General on matters related to victims of crime through awareness initiatives, training efforts, publications, and policy initiatives, and to ensure that these efforts are victim-centered, effective, and responsive to the needs of diverse victims around the Commonwealth. We seek justice for others, revolutionary change in Kentucky, and spreading a message of hope that healing is more than possible. This is an amazing group of women and men who serve others, who lead, who fight for change, who volunteer of themselves so that others may have a different and less arduous path to walk than the ones that we have. This group of people has spent the last year participating in 4 council meetings, working on subcommittees, partaking in 6 awareness events, speaking at 10 trainings, and developing more than 50 recommendations for government and community agencies to respond to survivors in a way that is victim-centered, trauma-informed, and seeks best outcomes. The following recommendations represent our hopes for the future of Kentucky. Funding for the council to continue its work and to offer leadership and peer advocacy training to its members. A victim advocate in every prosecutor's office in the Commonwealth so that no survivor has to face the process alone. Full funding for victim services, prevention efforts, law enforcement, and prosecutors, including a fully funded Office of the Attorney General. The offices that protect those who've been victimized should always be fully funded. These recommendations are not about politics. They are about people. This is about people who have been made vulnerable, silenced, and traumatized, and they deserve at the least to not be re-victimized by a system due to inadequate funding, personnel, or training. I've spent the last 11 years of my life fighting, working in varied and diverse ways to ensure that my voice and those like me are heard. It has helped to give the person that I became after Labor Day 2006 a purpose and a mission, and I've spent the last decade seeking to make change. First seeking to heal and then seeking to help. But this personal mission, this purpose that I have found, continues to change me. Serving as a member of this council has had a profound and lasting impact on me. There is something you cannot fully explain about looking across the table at someone who's completely different than yourself and knowing that they understand. They feel the same rage, grief, and hope that I struggle to explain even to those closest to me. Our eyes hold back the same tears. We are both biting our lips as we consider the words that we want to share. We are talking about policy, but it's so personal. We're talking about change for those who will be vulnerable in ways that are so fresh in our memories still. We can still see it with our mind's eye. We still remember our own words. My fellow council members have also expressed that being on the council has enhanced their experiences of healing and giving back to the community, and that being able to work together across different crimes has strengthened our own advocacy in our particular fields. The Survivors Council has made great strides in the first year of its creation, and it stands ready to assist the public, nonprofits, and government agencies to create policies, training, legislation, and initiatives that are trauma-informed and victim-centered. General Bashir, you are truly a lawyer of the people. You are a sincere advocate for victims, and you have the back of every survivor in this state. You have taken time and allotted resources to show the people of Kentucky that survivors matter. Under your leadership, they're not silenced or shamed. They are heard, they are believed, they are supported. And you have established this council as a means to hold your own office accountable. Thank you for holding yourself and holding us all as citizens of the Commonwealth to a higher standard. Thank you for bringing us together.
Thank you.
To my fellow council members, it has been an honor to serve with you this last year. We have worked hard. We have wrestled with tough topics and great needs in our communities. We have seen gaps and places for change in Kentucky and growth within ourselves. There is so much more to be done. I very much look forward to what 2018 holds for us, both as a council and in our personal journeys. Let us take every challenge and obstacle before us as a dare to rise to greatness and connect in our own humanity. These men and women are not victims for sharing their stories and experiences. They are survivors setting the world on fire with their truth. They share light, warmth, and raging courage everywhere that they go. Their presence in this world and on this council says that there is no shame in being a survivor. Now that I think about it, we're really so much more than survivors. We are thrivers. We are inspirers. These people are the embodiment of what is possible when you hold out for hope, and I am honored to be counted among them.
We're honored to have you. I'm sorry, we got a little bit of...
Megan, that was incredibly powerful. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. As Gretchen mentioned earlier, my name is Donna Pollard, and I am the founder of Survivors Corner, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to providing support to those who have been sexually exploited. I am also very proudly a member of our State Attorney General Survivors Council. When I was presented with the opportunity to be a part of this council 1 year ago, I knew that my learning would be accelerated on how I could most effectively create change for the better, and this year has been filled with educational efforts and advocacy. We are collectively, as well as individually, impacting our communities for the better. This past year alone, I have attended events and trainings hosted by multiple members of this council, and it is a true privilege to see the great work that they are accomplishing to build a safer community. I myself have presented as a panelist in Washington, D.C. at a national conference on the implications of child marriage. I have given interviews to local, national, and even to international publications about my personal experience as a survivor of child marriage, with the goal for global change. I have spoken to college students on the intersectionality between human trafficking and child marriage, and have presented at conferences hosted by multiple victim service organizations. I have partnered with direct service providers to provide consultation on the development of policies to ensure that those vulnerable clients in need of help are not being preyed upon by those working in helping professions. And perhaps one of the greatest achievements to me personally is the filing of Senate Bill 48, which you will find in the recommendations of our annual report. This bill modifies the current laws that allow children to be exploited through underage marriage. SB 48 creates protections for minors by establishing a minimum age at which a minor can be wed and defining clear criteria that must be assessed before judicial approval is considered. This bill also makes emancipation of minors simultaneous with the granting of the judge's order, so that no one legally still considered a child is able to marry. This is a common sense and nonpartisan issue. Since the year 2000, there have been nearly 11,000 cases of child marriage that have occurred in our state of Kentucky. This includes a 13-year-old girl that was wed to a 33-year-old man, a 15-year-old girl wed to a 52-year-old man, a 16-year-old girl wed to a 44-year-old man, and unfortunately, I could go on and on with these horrifically egregious examples. Children deserve to be children and not subjected to roles in life that they are simply not ready for. By supporting this legislation, we send a clear message to perpetrators that we will no longer tolerate their predatory behaviors, nor will we continue to allow them to prey on vulnerable children while hiding behind a marriage license. Thank you. Thank you. The work of our council and our Attorney General's office is critical to ensure that these cycles of crime that contribute to the cycles of poverty, interrupted educational opportunities, and various forms of exploitation and victimization are addressed and ultimately eliminated. Your support as community members is needed as we not only raise awareness and educate about these issues, but also take action in demanding that our communities are securely positioned so that our upcoming and future generations can have a strong foundation to grow upon. This is the legacy that I want to leave. As a member of this council, as a mother, and as a Kentuckian. As members of this council, we are united by a common thread, the experience of our trauma. But as we have demonstrated, we do not have to remain in silence or under the weight of our pain. we have the opportunity and the ability to transform our experience and take back our power. By vocalizing our truths, we step into authenticity. And when we bring the very best of ourselves into our communities, which we have been empowered to do, we influence the mindset of others, and that is how change is born. Mm-hmm. I thank you all for your continued support, and thank you, Attorney General.
Well, you can see how powerful this group truly is. When they leave here this morning, they are headed out not to lobby, because that is a pejorative term these days, but to convince and to enlighten our legislators to do the right thing. In the end, every time you guys are out there pushing, it's just for people to do the right thing. At 2 o'clock, they're going to be recognized on the House floor for the leaders that they are and for the great work that they do. But before that, we can take any questions, if you'll just let us know who the question is to. Nope. Nick? Sure.
This bill, Senate Bill 48, which we were talking about, will go before the Judiciary Committee. Obviously, Senator Whitney Westerfield's committee. Has there been any effort to talk to him, and will you testify in front of his committee?
I'd be willing to testify on any bill that this Survivors Council would ask me to. But this council has its own voice. And that's one of the great things that you can do in this office, is that we can empower people to pursue what they know is right, and to eliminate what they know is wrong. And I'm not sure after Donna gets done that any other testimony is going to be necessary. Do you want to talk about the sponsor or the committee?
Absolutely. Thank you. So, as many of you may be aware, Senator Julie Rocky Adams has sponsored Senate Bill 48, and we are incredibly grateful to her. I have not spoken directly with Senator Westerfield. I have had the opportunity to speak with other senators as well as other House representatives. And what we've identified, and we're extremely grateful for, is that everyone agrees this is a common sense bill. It's a completely nonpartisan issue. And we are seeing support grow on both the Republican and the Democratic sides. Thank you.
And I'd just add that I think this bill is the same as Marcy's Law. It's good legislation, and Senator Westerfield has sponsored Marcy's Law. I'm 100% supportive. And I would fully expect that he would be 100% supportive of a bill that everybody ought to be 100% supportive of. I seriously hope that there aren't legislators that are for child marriage.
Hopefully. On the point of changing the age of marriage, has there been any discussion about the age of consent?
You guys want to address that? There
is a current
yes.
bill right
There's
now.
Aaron's.
Aaron's law about the age of consent. And right now, several years ago, 2012, the age of consent was changed so that it added power of authority relationships. And right now, Aaron's law, the bill that's before the General Assembly, is that 16 and 7-year-olds would not be able to consent to a sexual relationship with someone over the age of 28. Mm-hmm. So that's the current. Don't know the sponsor.
We can check that sponsor for you.
It is a House bill, though.
And it was a part of the omnibus child abuse prevention bill that was filed last year, and then broken out, and it's based on irrefutable scientific evidence about the true age of adulthood. And Aaron, who was a member of our office for Jenna, who was a member of our office for a short period of time, gave incredible testimony on that bill last year.
And this year. She was here last week.
And this year. Last week. Anybody else? All right. Thank you all very much.